This is ABC15 Mornings.
The CDC issues new guidelines as the number of coronavirus cases in the United States soars. Are you required to wear a face mask in public? We'll have the latest recommendations coming up.
Also, another rising number, the amount of Americans filing for unemployment. The pandemic has brought our economy to a screeching halt, leading to financial fears. But we do have an expert who is sharing how to plan instead of panic.
And we are all in this unique situation together, and one Mesa community is proving that with a new art project called Chalk Talk Sense of Hope. We'll have that story a little bit later on in this hour.
And you know that we are so glad that you're starting this hour with us as we come up on 6 o'clock. We have seen so many stories like that of these kind of fortunate side effects to all of this, that people are really coming together in beautiful ways.
Yeah, and a lot of creativity coming out of being at home too. People are finding ways to entertain themselves while remaining safe. So we're going to have a couple of those stories as well. But first, we're going to get you caught up on that most accurate forecast.
Yeah, if you are having the kids outside and they're coloring chalk on the sidewalks, old school style, then those designs are going to stick around for the next couple of days. Live view from our Mayo Clinic cam, the McDowell Mountains in the background. We've got the makings of a gorgeous sunrise. Official sunrise time 6:11. So open those windows up as you get your cup of coffee or tea this morning. Maybe enjoy it on the patio as you keep us on and listen. We're going to get into the 60s by 8 o'clock, mid 60s by mid morning. And then as we move through the rest of the afternoon, if you've got some chores to take care of around the house, including washing the car, we're going to go ahead and give you the green light. Just be careful of those chalk drawings on the sidewalk. We don't want you to wash them off just yet, but we will get a clean slate in a couple of days. We are tracking some rain chances. I'll show you when, coming up in that most accurate forecast.
All right, now, hey, thank you. And new this morning, a Phoenix apartment complex up in flames overnight. It happened near 32nd Street and Greenway. Right now, we don't have a lot of information, but our photographer on scene said that it looked like there was at least some damage. No word on how many people were displaced or if there's any investigation underway right now. We will pass along any updates as they come in. Meanwhile, a police investigation is underway in Mesa. It happened near Stapley Drive and Brown Road last night. All we know is that one person was shot. No word on their condition at this hour. Police did tell us that they do have a suspect in custody. Now to, of course, our other big story, the number of coronavirus cases in the United States increasing dramatically, reaching at least 275,000, more than 7,000 people losing their lives to this disease. Healthcare workers that are on the front lines, they are now worried if they're going to be next. ABC's Karina Mitchell has more.
The death toll from the novel coronavirus emergency surging in the United States. In hard-hit New York City, as evidence, the shocking images of dozens of refrigerated trucks lined up outside of hospitals to hold victims, funeral homes overwhelmed.
I would love to pick up Grandma now and have her on my roof where I could watch her, but I don't have the accommodation to get her right now.
In some states, as many as 1 in 5 sickened with coronavirus are healthcare workers. So many on the front lines pleading for critical supplies to protect themselves and treat patients.
Running out of ventilators, and I feel like we're playing musical chairs with the ventilators we have on right now.
Governors saying they're forced to bid against other states and the federal government looking to purchase supplies ahead of the peak.
The Secretary of Homeland Security will work with FEMA to prevent the export of N95 respirators, surgical masks, gloves, and other personal protective equipment. We need these items immediately for domestic use.
On Friday, President Trump also saying he won't pressure the several states that have yet to issue stay-at-home orders aimed at slowing the spread of the pandemic, and announcing new federal guidelines for wearing face covers in public.
The CDC is advising the use of non-medical cloth face covering as an additional voluntary public health measure. So it's voluntary. You don't have to do it.
The president adding he doesn't plan to wear a face cover and stressed that medical-grade masks should be reserved for healthcare workers only. His medical team adding that the use of the masks are in addition to other guidelines like social distancing and hand washing, warning people should not develop a false sense of security when wearing face covers. Karina Mitchell, ABC News, New York.
And here in Arizona, nearly 1,800 cases have been confirmed. You can see the breakdown right there on your screen. The graphic showing the 5 counties with the most cases. Maricopa County leads the way with more than half of all cases. The state is now reporting more than 40 deaths.
We also want to make sure you know about more major closures that are happening across Arizona starting tonight at 5. Governor Doug Ducey changing course on Friday after days of pushback and confusion. So now he is saying very clearly hair and nail salons, massage and tattoo parlors are now considered non-essential businesses, adding to the long list of other required closures like public playgrounds, basketball courts, and pools. Up till now, individual cities were making those changes, but that's now statewide. Governor Ducey also saying that he is constantly evaluating what should be considered essential in Arizona. And on that note, right now, golf courses are still considered an essential service, and also in-home services like bathing and cleaning for vulnerable adults. That's still allowed too. So are daycare centers if they care for kids whose parents work in those essential services like first responders.
Unemployment continuing to rise here in our state, but one comment from the governor is drawing a lot of questions. Well, basically, that comment was saying that if you quit your job in fear of contracting the COVID-19 virus, can you apply for unemployment? So we reached out to the governor's office for a little bit of clarification on this, and they told us, yes, that is, quote, most likely the case, but there are some exceptions, and they say that they do have some documentation detailing all of those rules, and you can find it at des.az.gov.
Now, as we're talking about money, we do have an update for you this morning from Northern Arizona University. As campus life took a turn, of course, amid the coronavirus outbreak, the university has announced that they will provide a credit to students who choose to move out of university housing early. Those able to pack up by April 16th are going to get 25% off spring semester's housing and dining charges. Now, Arizona State already announcing a similar move, saying that all students who move out by the 15th are also eligible for a $1,500 credit.
And now more than ever, we need to keep our healthcare professionals and first responders on the job. Governor Ducey making that possible for those Valley workers who are also parents. Starting Monday, Arizona enrichment centers, they're making child care available for first responders, critical healthcare workers, and essential public sector workers, including child safety workers. We've talked to many Valley families who told us that this is absolutely necessary for them to keep working.
They're not going to take their kids if they don't need to, knowing what the risks are. So if they take, I feel like if they're using it, it's because they have no other option.
Keep in mind, you do have to register, and you must work in one of those fields that is designated as an essential service. We have a link to that and all of the available child care information and centers, as well as financial assistance forms. You can find all of that on ABC15.com.
Now, helping bring just a little bit of normalcy back to families' lives. Schools this past week started officially teaching online. They had regular assignments, so it actually is a true weekend now, and it actually would be great to get outside with your family and stretch your legs a little.
Yeah, a weekend, even though a lot of kids have thought they've been on a break for a couple of weeks now, but you still got to get some little learning in while you're at home.
Right, but now you can take the 2 days off then,
right.
and so that you keep the kids from bouncing off the walls. So if you're in the high country and you're going to go for a walk around the block or take the kids on a family bike ride, that's all still safe as long as you're staying with your family unit. And it's going to be cooler in Flagstaff. You guys are used to it though, 57 degrees. It's going to be a little breezier though. That's going to be the change to note up there. Sedona will come close to 70 degrees, mid-60s for Prescott today, and sunny skies and dry conditions statewide. Here in the Phoenix Metro, we're going to have gorgeous sunny skies, but it is going to get a little warmer in the second half of the day, mid-80s. So if that's a little too warm for your taste, I'm going to walk you through our warm-up today, hour by hour, so you can pick which section of the day you want to use to get outside. That's coming up in just moments.
All right, and a new warning now from health experts, and it says that you should stay at home even if you have tested negative for the coronavirus. We'll explain all of that coming up. Plus, it's a story that the Valley fell in love with, a friendship that was created by accident, how this internet sensation is being impacted by the recent outbreak.
And a live look over the Valley this morning as we come up on 10 minutes past 6 o'clock. Official sunrise time at 6:11. We've got the makings of a great weekend here in the Valley. Stay with us, friends.
It is 6:12 on your Saturday morning. A warning from health experts about why it's so important to stay home, especially if you're showing any symptoms of COVID-19. Doctors say that some tests are coming back as false negatives. That means that the results say that the person does not have the virus, but then when it is retested and reanalyzed, it comes back as positive. Doctors say that this can happen with any illness, which is why they treat you as if you do have the virus, even if you are showing those symptoms.
This is not over, and we need to continue to be socially very conscious about what we do, because that's what's going to limit the spread of this disease.
And there's now a new tool to help track the spread of COVID-19, the FDA approving antibody testing. It tests your blood for signs that show up in patients now a few days into the infection or after they've actually recovered. These tests can help researchers get an idea of how widespread the infection is and determine if anyone may be immune to it. Although approved, the test is still weeks or even months away. And the country will not be returning to work in April. At best, we're looking at May. Most economists admit that we are either in or heading towards a recession, which means we all need to plan now for the economic storm.
The pandemic has stopped the economy, which is leading to financial fears.
A lot of people are scared.
I don't think there's any avoiding a recession if we're not already technically there.
Nearly every expert agrees we are going into a recession. Everyone should expect higher unemployment numbers in the weeks and months to come. Understand that you could be laid off or see a decrease in work or wages. We can't panic, though. Instead, plan.
This is an opportunity to take a good look at your discretionary spending and really evaluate what's important and carve out for now what isn't.
Everyone needs to start or add to an emergency fund that can cover up to 6 months of expenses. If you expect a tax refund this year, file immediately, even though the federal government has pushed back the filing deadline. Congress has passed legislation expanding unemployment and paid leave benefits. Take advantage of them.
Use the money that's available to you. Pride has no place here. Tap into those resources. There's no shame in applying for unemployment.
And this economic downturn won't last forever. It will be tough on most of us, though. But we could see a faster recovery than we did with the last recession.
Back in 2007, there was some real issues with the financial system and the banking system, which led us into recession, and that's what needed to be fixed. Right now, it's really everyone's voluntarily stopping to consume. If everyone is really good about doing what needs to be done for this health crisis and it's shorter in nature, it could be just coming back into things as usual.
We could turn this around this year, I think. I still think there is real hope for that.
Well, last week, over 3 million Americans filed for unemployment, and we're going to keep an eye on those numbers as the situation continues to develop.
So we want to balance the tough news with some better news for you, give you something to look forward to. And the weather is certainly making that easy for us because it's gorgeous right now.
Yeah, easy breezy.
It's
sure.
breezy.
Yes.
Is interesting that you had mentioned that because we are going to see the breezes pick up here in the valley over the next couple of days, but it starts more tomorrow. So we'll get into that in just moments. But first, let's talk about those temperatures outside. There are just calm winds outside right now, and the temperatures are a little cool in some spots. 53 in Chandler, 58 in Scottsdale. We've got 53 out in Surprise in Peoria, as well as Laveen this morning. But we've got a gorgeous start to the day. The sun is up. We've got some pretty cotton candy skies this morning as we get a live view from our Valley Cam, looking out from South Mountain here across the valley, downtown Phoenix right there. Our planner for the day, we're going to warm up pretty rapidly. So by 8 o'clock this morning, we're back into the 60s, getting everybody on the same page. By 10, we're already in the 70s, and we'll linger in the 70s until about lunchtime, upper 70s at noon. Then we cross over into the 80s, another day in the 80s, and we're looking at the mid 80s. At that, we'll peak right around 4 or 5 o'clock this evening. So depending on which temperatures you like, plan accordingly for which part of the day you might prefer to spend outside. Maybe have a little picnic on your front lawn today. Even dinner, if you're a late eater, 77 degrees by 8 o'clock tonight. Here in the valley, city by city, we're looking at a high of 84 in Levine and Ahwatukee, as well as Tempe. 85 in Chandler and Gilbert for today. It'll be 83 in Fountain Hills and Scottsdale, as well as Surprise Wickenburg, warming to 80 degrees. And Anthem is going to stay a little cooler than that in the upper 70s. Our high for this time of year should be 82, so we're right on par for that average, just barely above it. And we are a ways off from the record, thankfully, of 98 degrees that was set back in the 60s. Temperatures right now across the state are cold, though, in the high country. We have several freezing spots at the Grand Canyon, Flagstaff, Window Rock, Show Low in the upper 30s this morning, 39 in Payson as well. And we've got a mix of mid 50s and low 60s along our western border. We'll have a very similar warm up across central and southern Arizona, as well as to the west. 81 in Safford, 84 in Casa Grande, 82 in Bullhead City. Up in the Verde Valley area, upper 60s today, 68 in Sedona, 65 in Prescott, and north of the rim we've got a mixed bag. Coolest spot is going to be in Flagstaff in the upper 50s. We'll have low 60s in Heber and Window Rock. Winslow and Page, though, do look to make it into the 70s. Now, our breezes are going to pick up across northern Arizona right around noon today. They'll stay pretty strong through the 6 o'clock hour. We could see gusts up to 20 miles an hour. Then they die down overnight, and then Sunday it gets breezier, including here in the valley, but our breezes start to pick up in the second half of the day around 6 o'clock. And that's a pattern we're going to continue to see for the next couple of days. Breezy on Sunday, Monday, even into Tuesday. When we start moving in storm chances late Tuesday night into Wednesday, we're talking about scattered, isolated rain chances here in the valley. It's also going to dip our temperatures by the middle of the week down into the mid 70s. So if this is a little too warm for you, we'll get a little bit of relief by the middle of the week. I'm going to talk more about those rain chances and even snow in the high country with our 7-day forecast in just a little bit, Mark.
All right, Nohe, thank you so much. Well, the Valley fell in love with their unexpected friendship. Now we're following a more serious journey between Jamal Hinton and Wanda Dench. Now, you might remember back in 2016, Wanda accidentally sent a text to Jamal inviting him over for Thanksgiving dinner. She thought that she was texting her grandson, but guess what? Jamal showed up anyway, and the two have been friends ever since. Jamal is now sharing an update on the health of his friend who has been diagnosed with COVID-19.
Wanda and Lonnie, they're good people. You guys see that every year on Thanksgiving. We made our videos with them. We go to dinner with them. We talk with them, everything. And they're the last people that anyone would wish any harm on anything.
Now, that was Jamal with his girlfriend there recording that video. Now, he says that Wanda is recovering at home while her husband is at the hospital. Well, after hearing stories like that, we could use a little sense of hope, and a Mesa community is sharing a colorful reminder that we're all in this together. Nicole Valdez has details.
Lots of love, be a light, love, peace, joy.
There are more than a handful of words we probably haven't used in a while.
I put a sign at the neighborhood mailboxes telling all the neighborhood kids, like, if you want to help me with the neighborhood chalk project, to meet at my house.
And the families living on this Mesa street have had just about enough of that.
At first we were like, okay, we'll just put one heart, walk 6 feet, draw another heart, and all of a sudden it became like hearts were everywhere. You have to kind of step around them now to walk around this community.
So instead of fear and worry, they decided to spread hope and light.
When you're afraid, it's kind of everything feels heavy and dark, and if you're sharing light, if you're being light, that dispels that fear and that darkness.
That's why Cabrina Cringen decided to document the work of art she never expected to grow so big or mean so much.
I think as we were doing it and people were walking by and commenting on it, that we kind of realized the importance of what it was we were really doing. Everyone's like, we needed this, I needed this, like, this brightened my day, this put a smile on my face, and that's literally all we wanted to do.
Cringen used a song that spoke to her.
You can be a light in your neighborhood too and just spread joy during these crazy times we're all in right now.
And on top of the smiles it brought her neighbors, the video caught the eye of Thomas Rhett, the country superstar behind the music. Together, it sent a message of strength and hope to, during a dark time, be a light.
It's really cool to watch people come together, to see that there is still hope, that there is community, and even though we're supposed to, isolate and be apart, that you're not alone, that even there's people out there that are sending that message of love and hope in any way that they can.
In Mesa, Nicole Valdez, ABC 15, Arizona.
Between online learning, working from home, everybody streaming all of their favorite movies, we all need a steady internet connection, don't we, to get through this health emergency? But get this, one family south of the valley was actually forced to leave their home to get a signal. So investigator Courtney Holmes is talking to them and their provider.
Welcome to Denny's in Casa Grande, home of the best Wi-Fi in town, according to Ruth Schurslick.
We tried to go to the library, it's closed. We parked outside, but the signal was too weak. We drove to the Holiday Inn Express, and they required a password.
She ended up right here in the Denny's parking lot.
We drove around the building, and he told me where the signal was strongest, and this is the spot.
Ruth and her son Matthew,
I call it my office at Denny's.
spend hours in the car,
He sets up in the back.
taking advantage of the strong Wi-Fi. Her doing conference calls at the university where she teaches.
I have to be able to connect with my students.
Alvin, I can see you. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
And music major Matthew, using Zoom for his guitar lessons. Because the high-speed internet at their home in Arizona City,
That's just not fast enough for me to do my job.
Ruth, who was already working from home, says since everybody else started to, her 4.5 megabits per second download speed has turned.
The 1.2, I do speed tests to check.
Email shows she's gone back and forth with CenturyLink about it, with representatives promising to send a supervisor and engineer to check it out. Still no change.
They say they have to preserve bandwidth for customers, and I'm a customer. Preserve it for me.
CenturyLink would not acknowledge a slowdown. Instead, a spokesperson told ABC15 they are sympathetic, but she has the fastest speed available in her area. For now, Ruth and Matthew are spending their days driving to Denny's, hoping for more megabits per second before the heat comes.
That's all I need, just to keep my job, and so my son can get an education, and we're paying for that.
In Casa Grande, Courtney Holmes, ABC 15, Arizona.